take it frame by frame here, or
Ooh,
moment by
frame by
moment.
frame.
No, moment by moment. Where are we at? Okay, let's play it up here.
Bring me Boba Fett.
All right. We get
this appears to be Tatooine with the Bomar Monk.
Yep.
And,
Bomar Monk. I'd recognize that little bowl anywhere. And this is great. I mean, because this, right out of the gate, you see the Bomar Monk, and then you see Jabba's palace in the background. It's like, okay, you know exactly where you are. It orients you within the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right.
You had 3 things to say. I want to hear what the third thing was.
I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah, it's early. It's early in the morning, and I could tell because only one sun has risen.
Oh,
but we still have another sun. And the monk, everyone remembers the Hasbro mail away for the Bomar Monk action figure when it was first released. And that featured a brain floating in a jar of blue liquid.
Correct.
Formaldehyde, whatever it is. They re-released the Bomar Monk a few years later. I think it was in a multi-pack. And the monk had the red liquid in the tank. So now I imagine that action figure is going to skyrocket in value because it has the red liquid.
Yeah, it's the off-world.
As opposed to the blue.
It's the off-world.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Welcome to the Mandalorian. But this Bomar Monk is definitely on-world, and it's at Jabba's palace where we know they hang. The legend is the palace was a Bomar Monk temple that Jabba took over. Yeah. And he allowed the...
Can you imagine?
What happens? Can you imagine? Yeah, gangsters move into the church.
Right.
But Jabba, in his infinite wisdom and generosity, almighty Jabba, he allowed the monks to continue to hang at the temple / now palace, as long as they didn't interfere in any of his underworld happenings. And the story about the monks is that they're regular dudes like us, but to achieve spiritual enlightenment, they saw their skulls open, remove their brains, put the brains in these fish bowls, and then attach the fish bowls to the walking spider legs for mobility. So they achieve greater spiritual, what did I say? Spiritual enlightenment.
Enlightenment. Yeah. Enlightenment.
Yes. Yes. The total spiritual consciousness. I'm trying to think of what Bill Murray says in Caddyshack after meeting the Dalai Lama. He's like, total spiritual awakening. I'm getting the line wrong.
This is real. This is real commitment. You think about what monks in our real world go through. I don't think any of them have gone so far as they have their brains taken out of their skulls and thrown in a fishbowl, attached to a spider. It's wild. This is the kind of thing that can only come from the mind of George Lucas. I do have to say. It's twisted. Kind of thing. Yeah, it's very twisted.
It's very twisted and creepy as hell.
Yeah.
And so you have now this monk, and George actually requested this thing to be created for Jabba's palace because he envisioned a spider assassin. But it was something that wasn't really anything that grew into part of the story for Return of the Jedi. But he asked his design guys to create a spider assassin or something, droid spider assassin. And so they then developed this whole look for the brain in the goldfish bowl attached to the mechanical spider legs. And I don't know if they actually ever got the effect to really work so great because you only see it in the background. After 3PO and R2 walk in, you see it in the background.
Oh, 3PO gets freaked out.
Yeah. Oh, how hideous. But you really can't make out too much of the detail like you can in this shot. This is a real hero shot of the Bomar Monk, something unlike anything we'd ever seen before. The idea for the assassin was obviously dropped in the expanded universe era when the spider became the Bomar monk, and the whole story about the monks and the Enlightenment and all, and the brains, that all was invented for a book, Tales from Jabba's Palace, I believe is the first place we heard about that.
Yeah.
But to me, they're hitting a home run out of the park with the first shot of this trailer. It's definitely some Star Wars eye candy that is total wish fulfillment, to see.
Well, yeah, and that's
Bomar monk moving like that.
Right, and this is where we'll give our capsule judgments of the trailer afterwards. But I'll just put it this way: this is a top 5 highlight moment of this trailer. This trailer is like a minute and a half long, and the first shot was one of my favorites. And anytime we get a chance, and this is what I love so much, one of the things I love so much about The Force Awakens, and then it seemed to be dropped in the subsequent sequels, but anytime we get a chance to see something so familiar, and we get to see new shots of Jabba's palace throughout this trailer, something that's so familiar to us, like I could draw it, blindfolded, because I've lived with this imagery and these characters, and when you get to see it just from a different angle or in a way you've never seen it before, that's when the magic really happens for me as a fan. New footage of Jabba's palace with a Bomar monk in the foreground. Yeah, I'll take it. I will take it.
It's
now,
just
there's
so
a
surprising to see that they actually leave the palace too, which is something I never considered. That they were just cruising around the terrain of Tatooine.
I guess they got chores. They got things.
Running errands.
Yeah, right. All right, so there's a line of dialogue.
There's Boba's freeze frame.
Okay. Well, there's a line of dialogue there. We missed it, but he says that he's no bounty hunter. So one of the first things we hear about Boba Fett say, "I am not a bounty hunter," and then there's a character saying, "Yeah, that's not what I've heard." So there's speculation. Is he trying to become legitimate? Is he trying to divest himself of his bounty hunting ways? What's the story? I mean, when you think bounty hunter in the Star Wars universe, Boba Fett is the first character that comes to your mind for most fans, for most people. So here you've got that's like seeing a trailer for a Darth Vader or something, and he's like, I am no Sith Lord. Like, what? When did this happen? How did this happen?
Yeah. Or seeing a trailer where Luke Skywalker's like, the Jedi must end. I mean, what's that all about? I mean, could you imagine?
Right. Yeah, all right. Something like that. Oh, no, they would never do that. But anyway, so he says he's no bounty hunter, and then you hear this Ithorian, which later you learn is this Ithorian character, say that's not what I've heard. So we'll see. Why is he not identifying as bounty hunter anymore?
Strange. Now, a lot of people are talking about Tim Morrison's appearance, facial appearance.
Yeah.
In this show, vastly different from what we saw in The Mandalorian. And there are two schools of thought here. Number one, some of this stuff is a flashback. So it happened prior to him getting scarred and deformed in the Sarlacc pit. Or he took a back-to-bath. And I'm leaning more toward the latter, back-to-bath. And I want to point out the thing that you see to Boba's right in this shot. It looks like a sort of thing that a chamber you might lay down in and pull that cabinet door down on top of you. Do you see what I'm talking about?
I do see that.
It almost like a coffin.
Okay.
Where you can pull that, and that could have been some sort of back to rejuvenation tank, and he's just emerging from it now, and he's putting his armor on.
I see.
That's my speculation. I don't know if anybody else has been talking about this online, but
so he's taking better care of his skin. He wants to get rid of all of the the scarring and the burn marks and all of that. Yeah. Well, when we get through this, we'll show you. We've got some photos of the before and after. we'll take a look at that. But
yeah, so I think that could be some sort of back to tank, like kind of similar to the thing Finn is lying in at the beginning of episode 8 when he's
oh yeah,
in there. He's
right.
got the back to suit on. Maybe we'll have Boba with a back to suit on. I prefer the free floating in the tank,
Yeah.
Mark Hamill, Empire Strikes Back,
With the big diaper on.
yeah. Oh, diaper that's a prerequisite. It has to happen. Or even, Darth Vader in the back to tank in Rogue One. That's good stuff.
Yeah. So this is more like a back to tanning bed. I think that he's got going on.
That's more what it looks like. A tanning bed, not a coffin. A tanning bed. So he sat in there, and instead of catching UV rays, he is catching Bacta sprays.
Sprays, not rays. I like it. All right. So Erie's putting the helmet on. There's some more dings to his armor, by the way. At the end of Mando season 2, he was like, he had just got the airbrush out and painted.
Right. Yeah, that was very fresh. But he's been on some adventures since then.
I think so.
You see the Lucasfilm logo.
Yeah. Like the Lucasfilm logo with the Boba colors.
Boba colors. This is some very casual Star Wars denizens. Let's call them the denizens. All right, freeze frame.
Yep.
We have an Ithorian and a Twi'lek. And the place, the walls remind me of some Ralph McQuarrie concept art designs.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually accurate, but it's kind of what it reminds me of, things I've seen before. And then this cat, he's sitting in a throne of some sort. Almost looks like a captain's chair on board a Federation starship.
Yeah, but he's got some knickknacks scattered about. I think this is another. I'm led to believe that this is maybe another gangster, another boss, another member of another leader of a family, a crime family or something.
Wearing a caftan, and he has the Ithorian translator device hooked up to his head, because Ithorians have two mouths on both, one mouth on each side of the head, and they speak in stereo. And so he has the little translator microphones on both sides, and then that translates what he's saying from Ithorian into.
I know people who speak out of both sides of their mouth.
Yeah. I've been employed by many of them over the years.
Oh, all right. So we got the Ithorian. That's pretty cool. A hammerhead, I'm all about it. That's great. And it thank God for the Mandalorian and Filoni and Favreau that are giving us those familiar creatures that we have.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, right out of the gate, they're not messing around with these fleshy, pink colored, J.J. Abrams type monsters. No, we've got a hammerhead and we've got a Twi'lek. Boom. There you go.
And the monk.
The Bomar monk, right. Nice aerial shot of some sort of city. Maybe
city in the valley.
Yeah.
Well, okay, a lot of people have been speculating this is a city on Tatooine. It could be part of Mos Eisley that we never saw before, or a larger look at Mos Espa. But I think that this city is too massive to be on Tatooine.
I agree. This is not the planet the farthest from the center of the universe. This is too populous.
Too populous. It's too big, too widespread. That's too much activity for Tatooine. It's too much action for Tatooine, a city like this, a sprawling metropolis like this. It's very impressive. It reminds me of Jeddah City a little bit.
Yes.
Just simply for the fact that it's sunk down. Paul Bateman had a few things to say about this. He was really just blown away by what they can do on a TV budget. And he, let's see here. What did Paul have to say? Oh, my notes are messed up. He says, looks like an early Mos Espa design Doug Chiang created for The Phantom Menace. And then he put the artwork online, and I put it on our notebook.
Yeah, I see it. But if I go to that, then the video starts over, so I can't very well go back and forth. So.
Oh, okay. So we don't want that to happen.
We can show that at the end here once we get.
Yeah, we'll show that at the end. We'll talk about it at the end. But that's what Paul's comparing it to. He has some Doug Chiang concept art from the prequels.
Yeah, you definitely see like in that valley, and you see the structure. Yeah, very similar. Very similar. All right, let's see. Moving along here. Oh, and the great shot of the throne. Doesn't have to be quite as big as it used to back in Jabba's day, but
no, it's bib sized.
Yeah,
it's a bib sized throne.
Yeah, I do. But now he's talking about the difference here between the way Jabba ruled and the way that that he intends to rule. He says Jabba ruled by fear. And then I think he follows it up with saying, I will rule by respect, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Right away here, we know that he intends to be a different type of leader, a different type of crime boss. It's not about making people, doing things because they don't want to be fed to the Rancor. It's about maybe adding a layer of respect and honor, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess, like what you would see with the mafiosos and stuff, kissing the Godfather's ring, things like that, I think is more what he's leaning toward as opposed to just being a brute.
Right.
Because he probably considers that to be part of Jabba's downfall, is just being a brute and doing things, torturing people, marching them on the plank and all of this business.
A little theatrical, huh?
Yeah. And just for his own selfish pleasure.
Right.
Boba was taking his eyes off the prize a little too often. And I think Boba's looking to remedy that with some new age management style that he's going to be bringing to the table.
I'm going to be bringing in 360 reviews. We're all going to sit around, talk about
If a Gamorrean comes to me and says, boss, I need a mental health day, I will be very understanding.
Yeah, right. It's going to get all modern. There's going to be foosball tables in the break rooms at Jabba's palace.
Yeah, right. It'll be like... Yeah, it'll be like Apple.
Yeah, right.
Where they have like weird little things in the lobby, like a ping pong ball pool that you can jump into, or just like real excessive stuff. Yeah.
All right.
I take care of my employees, and then I send them on vacations to the Polynesian spa in New Zealand. New Zealand.
All right, so we see some action here.
We actually see another actor.
Oh.
And I wasn't talking about Ming-Na Wen, who we know is in this show, but the dude, there's apparently this is one of the guards. This must be one of the thugs working for the Ithorian boss, because they're in the same.
Yeah, you can tell by
room, if you will.
The walls there.
Yeah. And some people were spreading a rumor online that this particular actor is Daniel Logan. That's not true. That is not true. That is not Daniel Logan. No, sir. This guy's got maybe 10 years on Logan.
Yeah.
And he looks much different. But it's a new type of guard jumping into action here, getting into a firefight with Boba and Fennec.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. It looks like it's a little bit of a standoff. And then you see, by the way, just for the record, these skinny Gamorreans.
Yeah.
See, can we get a fat Gamorrean guard? What happened after Jabba died? All the Gamorreans dropped 100 pounds?
Jenny Craig.
Is that what
Jenny
it is?
Craig. Yep. She's going to be in the third episode. Jenny Craig herself is going to be there. And
I mean, I get that they want to show variety in the species, but in last time I checked Return of the Jedi, they were all fat. They all looked exactly the same.
How many Gamorreans do you think you actually see in Return of the Jedi?
All right.
How many do you actually see?
I'm going to say
Gamorreans.
I'm going to say, if I went back and counted, I think we're talking about 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's probably right. I mean, I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah.
That'd be something fun to do next time you watch Return of the Jedi, and just kind of keep track of how many Gamorreans you actually see.
Well, there's the 2 at the front door. There's the 2 at the front door. Then there's the one that gets killed, that gets eaten by the Rancor.
Right.
And then there's the one that's laughing his butt off at the one getting eaten, which I always thought was pretty sick. The one he's just like he's like holding his belly. He's laughing so hard. If you know that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really having a good time.
Maybe that Gamorrean had a really attractive Gamorrean wife, and she would be back on the market in the event of his unfortunate demise. And so that other Gamorrean's been waiting for this to happen.
It couldn't happen soon enough.
He wanted to make the moves.
Well,
couldn't happen soon enough. This is like a Seinfeld episode going on in Jabba's palace.
I'm just looking at this Gamorrean guard, and I'm like, he had that stomach stapling surgery. He's like Al Roker walking around there now. It's like, I don't know what to make. He just doesn't look quite the same. I'm glad they're healthier. I'm glad for him, but selfishly, I want the big fat Gamorrean guard with the furry skirt.
In reality, though, I mean, if you want to think about this practically, we've been introduced to Gamorreans, 2 of them in the Mandalorian season 2.
Yep.
They were wrestling, remember?
Oh, yeah.
I'll bet you anything that these are the exact same 2 Gamorreans with a few costume tweaks.
Yeah.
Just to, keep the budget on the down low and just reuse that, because I find it very unlikely that any original Gamorrean costumes still exist.
No,
from the early 80s.
The latex and all that starts to deteriorate. But they could certainly replicate it, but they obviously don't want to, or they would. I mean, it's not like they don't know what the Gamorreans looked like in Return of the Jedi. I'm just saying, I'm hoping for a fatty Gamorrean guard. That's all.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean,
give me a fat one and a skinny one.
You don't go to see sumo wrestling to see a couple of twigs run at each other in the ring. You want to see some big beefy dudes going at it.
That's right.
With all the power that they bring. So, okay, yes.
Right. And here's Ming-Na Wen. She bathes in the fountain of youth every day. This woman's absolutely beautiful, and I love her character, and I love what she brings to the Star Wars universe. And she steals the scenes when she's in them.
Yeah, there's something so chill about her.
Yeah,
she just goes through these episodes as Fennec Shand just with such coolness and confidence that I think is something pretty cool about her.
Now, you've gone on record, Jim, as saying that you believe that she is an android, that we're going to find out that she is an android.
I think that could be true. Yeah. Because she takes that blaster bolt into the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And when they question her return, she slides open that panel in her abdomen and shows off mechanics in there and just closes it up. And so you can think to yourself, oh, well, they used those sort of cybernetics to heal her. But what if she always has been an android and she's just saying, hey, you can shoot me, but these circuits can be repaired.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Common sense tells me that she became an android out of necessity because of the blaster bolts. But I'm just presenting that as an alternative to what most people assume about the character.
Well, all right, but I don't know, because even though we're talking about Star Wars and it's a galaxy far, far away, and you have to suspend your disbelief, I mean, it's obvious that she had been lying there after she was presumably killed, but certainly shot in the stomach at point blank range by that guy. I can't think of his name, but he's so annoying. In season 1. Mm-hmm. And so she must have been laying there a long time. She would have bled out. So I actually think that you're onto something. I don't think that she was fixed after that. I think she was part machine before she took that blaster to the stomach, because otherwise how would she have survived that? Laying out in the desert?
More machine than woman.
Yeah.
Twisted and evil.
Yeah. It also explains why she doesn't age. All right, so there she is.
There you go.
Now here you can really see, Jim. Now this is, and we'll look at the still later, but this is, I think, part of what you had sent. This shot here of Tim Morrison as Boba Fett taking the helmet off. This very well may be some sort of a flashback. However, the flight suit underneath looks pretty much on par with new Fett. We have not seen, as far as I know, spoiler alert, in this trailer, classic Fett, classic original trilogy Fett look, though I think it's inevitable that we will see that in this series, but I don't think we see it at all in the trailer. But his skin is much better. Much better.
Yeah, so that rules out flashback, considering he's wearing the black cloak undergarment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as opposed to that gray mechanic suit, flight suit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that's the device I thought they'd really be using to show the difference between flashbacks and current timeline Boba. So we'll have to wait and see. There might not be any flashbacks at all. I find that hard to believe, though.
I think there will be. I think that
I do too.
I think there's going to be, if I had to guess, at a whole episode almost where he recounts what happened to him after after Jabba. I mean, maybe he sits there and tells that Ithorian crime boss what happened. Oh, Jabba, I thought Jabba, died. Well, let me tell you what happened, That would be great. I'd love to see it. I think we will see it. And again, I want to talk a little bit about what we don't see in this trailer and why it sort of frustrates me a little bit when we get through. But there's a lot to love. All right, so there's Boba taking so we've seen him take the helmet off, put the helmet on. There's a lot of helmet, back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Well, unlike the Mandalorian, he doesn't necessarily abide by that creed.
Streaming exclusively on Disney Plus.
Another
beautiful aerial shot there, of Jabba's palace coming in from a different angle. That's not the angle that we see 3PO and R2 approach.
It looks like something's
in
down
Jedi.
There.
Yeah, there does.
Like, is it a person on a speeder bike, or is it somebody walking? Is it?
Yep, you're right.
What is it? I'm actually scratching at my screen.
It's not your screen, because I have it on mine too.
Came out from between my teeth and just landed on the screen, but there it is.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so you were once captains under Jabba the Hutt, she's saying, and these are a bunch of what are these guys with the
Trandoshans?
Are they? Yeah,
well,
they
not
are.
all of them.
Some of them are.
There's two are Klatooinians. Klaatu guys.
Hey, you know what we missed in that shot?
What?
Hold on, I got to go back real quick. I got to go back to the shot of Tim Morrison. I was just looking at the picture, and maybe he's got eyebrows.
Yes.
He doesn't have any eyebrows when we first meet him, and when he's wearing the the robe, and he introduces himself to the Mandalorian. Yeah. So, man, Star Wars and the eyebrows. First Sebastian Shaw has eyebrows, then he doesn't have eyebrows. Now Boba Fett doesn't have eyebrows. Now he does have eyebrows. Maybe he has Sebastian Shaw's eyebrows.
Yeah, that was his first bounty, actually, was to hunt down Sebastian Shaw's eyebrows.
Oh, man. All right, so here's the Klatooinians, the Trandoshan. Yeah.
Assuming this meeting here, Klatooinians.
Klatooinians.
Klatooinen. Assuming this is inside Jabba's palace.
Yes.
In some little banquet room he has. I thought Jabba would have a more elaborate and grandiose banquet room, But this just looks like a little dining room there. You see steps coming down.
He rents it out for parties, for some income, some revenue diversification there. It's a great place to have your holiday party.
Head of the table.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I was trying to see if there are any other creatures there, but so these are all captains, and if you're if you're one of those that likes to watch mob documentaries and stuff like that, we know that captains or capo regimes, as they're called, are sort of the capos. They're the lieutenants, in the organized crime family, and so now they're making an offer. They're saying, "Look, pledge yourself to us. This is we're gonna make you rich."
Yeah, Boba wants to consolidate all of the different crime syndicates under one roof, and he wants to call it a corporation. So it's going to be like Star Wars Underworld Incorporated.
I like that he's being honest about it. In real world, corporations try to pretend they're not criminal organizations.
Yeah.
We might as well call ourselves a corporation.
Yeah. It's called the Boba Corporation. Yes, I secured the URL over the weekend. We also have all social media accounts.
Now he needs someone to do PR for him. Although it sounds like Fennec's doing it.
She's the PR person. Oh, you have some Aqualish there.
Oh yeah, look at those guys. Yeah, they look great.
Walrus Mans.
Because one of these, I love this shot right here. This is one of my favorites. I think maybe they come back to it, but this balcony shot of Fennec and Boba. Again, what I love so much is seeing like other rooms of Jabba's palace, like all the stuff that used to play in my imagination as a kid. I dig it so much. That's really my favorite part of this whole trailer is the familiar shown in a less familiar way.
This appears to be the exterior of the shot we see at the very beginning of the trailer when Boba is coming. We think he's coming out of that rejuvenation tanning bed and he's putting his helmet on. I believe he is inside this room because of the curtains.
Okay.
There are similar curtains in that shot in the background where you see Boba putting the helmet on. So this appears to be Jabba's boudoir.
Yeah.
So we get Jabba's master bedroom here.
What's proving, and we're about halfway through the trailer, what's proving to be the case is that we are seeing a lot of the same in this trailer. We're seeing a lot of cuts and angles from the same little bit of way. They're actually showing us very little here. Very, very little, I think.
Agreed.
But I do love that balcony.
Tusken Raiders.
Yeah. So, Jim, this could be a clue that they're going to show how he ended up wearing those Tusken robes and carrying the gaffy stick. This might be part of that flashback.
As a matter of fact, Boba might be one of these. I'm thinking Boba is the one on the far left because it appears almost like that guy has the darker undercloak that Boba has been wearing.
Okay.
That darker cloak. It appears that he's wearing like a more sandy colored outer cloak like a Tusken would normally wear, but it appears that it's darker underneath. See, like from his waist on down, it just looks darker to me. I mean, it's hard to make out in this shot, but I had assumed that Boba was riding with the Tusken Raiders for a little while just to survive.
Yeah.
And maybe they accepted him as one of their own. And we've seen that humans have the ability to communicate with Tuskens in the Mandoverse. And so that's going to probably continue here with Book of Boba Fett. And I assume that Boba was riding with the Tusken Raiders for a while because that explains his absence from the scene after surviving the Sarlacc pit. So this could be a flashback, or this could be, these guys could be approaching Jabba's palace because Boba invited them to join the corporation. Wouldn't that be wild?
That would be wild. Can you imagine?
Trying to tame the Tuskens.
I'd like you to meet some friends of mine.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Who invited these guys?
Wow, all right, man. What an over-the-top intro.
Well, what do we got? We got pulling a weapon out here. Is this Fennec?
Somebody's that looks like Fennec. Yeah.
Oh, there's a little dagger she pulls out of sort of the butt of her blaster. That's cool. And
Very cool. And now they're entering something that appears to be maybe another cantina or something.
yeah.
They're throwing open the curtains.
Hey,
There's some
who's
Twi'leks.
that? A couple of Twi'leks.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a little bit. But if that Twi'lek looks familiar, there's a reason why. There's the Slave One.
Slave One.
Always
Probably
and forever.
known to newer fans as Boba Fett Starship, the exotic name Boba Fett Starship. But no, it's always going to be the Slave One to us stubborn old school fans. And it's great to see that thing in flight. I loved seeing the Slave One in action in The Mandalorian season 2. So we'll be seeing more Slave One. That was kind of a no-brainer coming into this, but nice to get confirmation nonetheless.
For sure. All right. Oh, yeah. So this is when he's starting to get mouthy. He goes, well, what prevents us from just killing you? Yeah.
Well, we haven't been served dessert yet.
Yeah.
Okay, you see there's Boba Fett's helmet, and it appears to be filled with Republic credits or some sort of money.
Yeah, coins.
Does that look like money to you?
Doubloons? Yeah, it looks like some sort of currency. I think we're supposed to assume.
I guess he was taking, I guess we'll see Boba Fett doing some panhandling, maybe some busking on the street corner, or just working the subway in Mos Espa, just.
Well, we did see Tim Morrison on the set of episode 2 as Jango Fett doing a little soft shoe with the umbrella. Remember those clips?
Yeah, dancing for tips.
Yeah.
Spare some change if you would be so kind.
Or maybe he throws them in there just to make the helmet fit a little better, like little wedges.
It's the only place he keeps his money,
Well, that's
Some people
true.
keep it in their shoe. He just keeps it up here. I keep it up here.
Yeah.
I got money on my mind. Get it? Money on my mind, and my mind on money on my mind, and my mind on my money. Yes, sipping gin and juice.
It's a bit of an eerie
New Zealand.
It is a bit of an eerie image of and kind of reminds you a little bit of the the Django helmet rolling across the Geonosian sand. In this case, there's money dropping out of it, and not a severed head of Jango Fett, but that's what it reminded me of a bit. There's some skirmish going on around them. These guards that we were talking about earlier, there's more of them here, and we see they have some sort of laser generated shield that comes off their gauntlets. That's
very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, have we seen that in Star Wars before? I think we have, maybe on a smaller scale.
Aren't the Gungan shields, aren't they sort of generated?
They're similar to that.
Yeah.
You're right. The Gungan shields, of course, a classic. Also, I remember the Mando had little shields on his gauntlet, didn't he? That he was using to deflect blows from.
Yes, he did.
From Moff Gideon and the Darksabers. So, the shield technology, we're seeing this again, and I think we even saw it in the Clone Wars at some point as well.
I think you're right. That does sound familiar. So this looks like one of those moments where they realize they're outnumbered, and then maybe someone. What I got the feeling that this was the moment that someone is coming to help them, or because things look pretty hopeless probably for Fennec and Boba at this point, and then this is sort of a moment of something's about to change. Standoff. Oh,
he's got that. He has that psycho,
that crazy look in his eye again. Yeah. Look at him.
It's the psycho Tim Morrison look when he's dancing his hakas. Have you ever seen him do that? I saw him do it in Japan. He started just getting up, dancing the haka, and I think they showed it in some behind the scenes footage from The Mandalorian season 2. But it's a Maori thing where he does a tribal dance called a haka. And part of the display is to stick your tongue out and make crazy faces. And so it looks like Tim is incorporating some of that into Boba Fett's fighting style. And I think that's cool as hell.
I love this. Yeah, I love it. And it reminds me when we first saw him in action in Mandalorian season 2 with you hear the bone crunching as they're as he's wielding his stick. They're great with the sound effects in this show, man. There's a lot of bone crunching and flesh tearing sounds.
Yeah, they're having fun at Skywalker Sound.
For sure.
Spoken such insolence to Jabba. He'd have fed you to his menagerie.
His menagerie.
Yeah, so, this is where he says, well, why are we listening to you? What if we just kill you and take over ourselves? And Fennec Shan says, well, if you'd have said that to Jabba, he would have already taken care of you by now. This guy's hearing you out. We'll see how far this gets him. I mean, he's trying to be, the adult in the room, but, guys like this, they understand one thing, brute force. But he's trying to be like maybe a little more level-headed.
He's a progressive gangster.
Yeah.
He's an all-inclusive gangster. We'll see how well that goes for him.
Yeah. More Klatooinians.
Speak freely.
Boba sitting on the throne.
Speak freely.
And that's it.
There it is.
That's it. A good trailer. It gets us excited just to see the very first footage from the show. But, in the history of Star Wars trailers, I don't think this one ranks very high. It's just nice to see the fresh look of the character. But I mean, we don't even get any indication as to like any other actors who may be in the show.
With one exception, though. With one exception,
yeah. Yes. We get one reveal.
One reveal, and man, if you grew up in the 80s, Jennifer Beals, made most famous by her turn in Flashdance. So she looked like this, if you remember that. Oh yeah. And this is her as a Twi'lek in Mandalorian. Now she's hot off of the L Word. I think that was or a spinoff of the L Word. One of those shows.
Yeah.
L Word. Yeah. Generation Q.
I really only know her. She's a Chicago actress, and I really only know her from her big breakthrough in Flashdance.
Yeah.
She's had a career that's been pretty steady and strong since the 80s. She looks great and fantastic as a Twi'lek.
Oh, she sure does.
And it's nice to have another familiar name in the cast roster for The Mandalorian, which is now a roster of 3 names, as far as we know.